Welcome to the Gaming After 40 video podcast. This is a Trilobyte, a marine arthropod last seen at the end of the Permian period some 250 million years ago. Rather more recently, in the early CD-ROM period, one of the titles that demonstrated the potential of the new medium was The Seventh Guest, an atmospheric horror-themed puzzle game produced by a company named Trilobyte, also now extinct. But look what they left behind. 3 major titles, 2 still brand new in the shrink wrap. Now, if we're very careful, we can... Oh, bugger.
Bones them, dry bones, or bleached and deathly white.
Trilobyte was founded in 1990 by Graham Devine and Rob Landeros, both industry veterans. Here's an embarrassing picture of cyborg Rob Landeros from the back of Interplay's Lexicross package. The multimedia age was dawning. Real-time 3D was still in the future, but CD-ROM capacity was sufficient to store plenty of pre-rendered video. The Seventh Guest featured a fully modeled 3D mansion. A point-and-click interface allowed the player to maneuver from one room to another along preset paths. As puzzles were solved, live-action video told the tale of the evil toy maker Stoff and his guests.
Don't worry, I won't bite.
I just want to get out of here. Please, I just want to get out of here.
Who are you? Why did you come here?
It was an adult gothic horror tale, shocking in its day, with a parental discretion advised warning on the box. An evocative score by George the Fat Man Sanger augmented the game's dark and creepy atmosphere. The Seventh Guest was a major hit upon release, and Trilobyte was already hard at work on a second game, The 11th Hour. The idea was to redress the 3D models built for the first game, create some new puzzles, and produce a very similar sequel as inexpensively as possible. Unfortunately, the design became more ambitious, and profits from The Seventh Guest were largely swallowed up by its development. It didn't help that Nintendo tied up exclusive console rights to The Seventh Guest for its planned but cancelled Super NES CD peripheral, preventing it from appearing on competing platforms like the Sega CD and 3DO. Still, The 11th Hour did make it to market, a year later than planned and with technical and gameplay issues that prevented it from selling as well as The Seventh Guest. Devine's groovy technology had taken the MS-DOS PC about as far as it could go, but the transition to Windows was painful. The 11th Hour featured an M rating from the recently formed ESRB, limiting its audience. The puzzles were more difficult, and the video-heavy story wasn't well integrated into the gameplay. Real-time 3D was also maturing, rendering Trilobyte's visual approach outdated, and the 11th Hour was not nearly as successful as its predecessor.
It was a mess. A bloody mess.
As Trilobyte's games became more ambitious, with more live-action footage, production became more expensive. Unreleased projects included Dog Eat Dog and The 13th Soul, as well as several other concepts pitched as Seventh Guest 3. Rob Landeros began production on an interactive DVD movie, Tender Loving Care, starring John Hurt, which was ultimately finished and released by Aftermath Media following the demise of Trilobyte. 11th Hour director David Wheeler went on to direct POV, or Point of View, another interactive DVD. Trilobyte produced one final original game, a more family-friendly though still T-rated effort called Clandestiny, which met with poor sales. The company's final release was Uncle Henry's Playhouse, which simply reprised puzzles from the existing Trilobyte games. It's a story almost as old as the company's namesake. A promising new developer has a major hit, tons of cash flowing in, and never quite figures out what to do for an encore. This has been the Gaming After 40 video podcast. I'm not David Attenborough. Thanks for watching.